Welcome to Horror Makes Us Happy, the show where we ask the question, what is it about horror that makes us happy? Your hosts are Steve Becker and myself, Chris Whitman, and you can find out more about us at our website, horrormakesushappy.com. We've got all kinds of links there to our Discord server and all the other things, and you can follow us on all the things all over there, if you won't.
Yes.
Before we get started, this is the trigger warning. It's a horror podcast. We talk about horror things, so we could delve into sensitive subjects involving physical and or emotional harm, or curses words. We might say some bad words. If we won't, once again.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. With that out of the way. On with the show. Right, Steve?
Yes. Yep. Today we are talking to Ms. Julia on IMDb, but you go by Julie. Hapney, special effects artist, makeup artist, 111 film credits, I think it was the last time I looked. All kinds of different stuff. Yeah. Bound Vengeance, Zombeavers, VHS Viral, Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In, Natty Knox, apparently also have worked with a number of different musical artists on tour. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
Welcome to the show.
This podcast is going to be less about your body of work, though, and more about what you yourself have been a fan of. But that said, it's not meant to be a therapy session. So if there's anything you don't want to say, just say pass and we'll move on. But starting with childhood, what were some of your earliest memories of scary things?
Oh, my. When I was in kindergarten, my favorite movie was Nightmare on Elm Street. My teacher actually kept like a time capsule that had like a piece of paper that we filled out and said like who our pet was, who our best friend, what our favorite movie was. And then she mailed it to us our senior year. So I actually have proof that that was my favorite movie in kindergarten.
That's so cool. In kindergarten, no less. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Anything else jump out to you from childhood?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watched Stephen King's It with Tim Curry like a million times. I actually owned it on VHS because my grandma had recorded it when it was on TV. And she gave me her copy when I was in, I think, fourth grade, third.
Oh, God. So you were like Georgie's age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You got started on the classics early.
Yeah.
Elm Street, It. Okay.
Sure did.
Cool. A particular scene jump out to you from Nightmare on Elm Street?
I mean, I think just the whole idea of Freddy and he can get you in your dreams, like
nowhere is safe.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's probably why I liked it too. Like, because if you believe he can get you, if you don't believe he can't get you. So there's that whole aspect to it that I really enjoyed then and still enjoy now.
Cool. Usually we look for three.
Critters.
How about a third favorite?
Probably Critters.
Classic. Gotta love Critters.
What'd you like about that one?
The puppets, and Puppet Master. Speaking of puppets, definitely a big fan of Puppet Master movies.
Yeah. Did you see Puppet Masters at a young age too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was watching all of that. Like when I was 9, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and around that time, I'd seen basically every horror movie at the local video store.
Yeah, I can imagine probably a lot of time just chilling in bed.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Watch horror movies, right?
Yep.
One of our most recent guests had her kid in the background, and she kept referring to him as her little Krite.
Aww.
That was cute.
Yeah, I actually got to do Lynn Shea's makeup for the behind the scenes for Critters for the Blu-ray edition.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So she told all of the behind the scenes stories. And so that was really, really cool.
Like the original Critters?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
We've had some other makeup artists share some pretty cool stories too. The favorite one probably recently, I think Gino Azevedes shared a story about having the power go out on him when he was doing the makeup for Christopher Lee at one point.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Not honest at all. Nah.
Yeah. Let's see. Did you have a favorite childhood costume for Halloween?
Oh, I don't know. I usually did something pretty different every year. Like I have this picture when I was probably like 3 or 4 where my mom did my makeup and I was a clown. And so that's kind of ironic for full circle.
Why? Oh, because of it?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been pretty much everything, like from a witch to a zombie to like cute costumes where, you kind of like went with your friends and dressed up in that way.
Okay. How about a least favorite costume?
One year I did my makeup and went to a party and I was like the queen from hell, and I used gelatin and did burns all up and down my legs and thought that like it was going to be awesome, and it looked great, but I just couldn't sit down or have my legs touch each other all night long. That one didn't really think that one through.
Yeah. Can relate. I've had several costumes where you get all wrapped up in the look of it, like this is gonna look awesome. Then you actually put it on for the first time ever, no test tries or anything. Like this is very uncomfortable. I hate this.
Or like Chris, your Warhammer 40K. Even if it is decently comfortable, it's not so comfortable after wearing it for 2 or 3 hours.
Yep.
Did you have anybody in your family who were fans of horror when you were
kids,
my
mom.
Just you?
My mom definitely is the one that got me into it and watched all of them with me growing up.
Nice.
My grandma.
That's good parenting.
Yeah, exactly. My grandma too. She'd like watched at least the Stephen King stuff. She watched all of that stuff, and I remember like realizing that she had taped them all. And I mean, I had her copy of I had her copy of It. I had her copy of Tommyknockers. I had her copy of Pet Sematary. I had her copy of but the Pet Sematary one I feel like was edited. Like it didn't have everything in it that it was supposed to.
This was a TV version.
Yeah.
Yep.
She didn't have cable, or not cable, but the pay channels, I don't think. She had cable, not the pay channels.
Got it.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. With my mom, my first drive-in was Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, wow.
And
the classic.
She took me when I was in, I think, 4th or 5th grade. And she was really disappointed because she was telling me that it takes place at the mall. So she thought we were going to go see 3. It wasn't that.
Wrong one.
Yeah. Obviously,
was her first clue that it was black and white?
Yeah. I mean, drastically different.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, that was my first drive-in.
Nice.
I mean, in a way, that was probably even better because then you're starting at the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I went to see it at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which was really awesome. But that's just a tailgate event.
So like a drive-in, but it was at a cemetery?
Yeah, at Hollywood Cemetery, Hollywood Forever.
That is
Yeah, they do. It's called Cinespia, I believe, and they show movies in the cemetery.
When before you mentioned that it was in Hollywood, my brain was thinking, I don't know how, cemeteries would go for that. But then you mentioned it's Hollywood. I'm like, okay, I could probably see the people there might be up for that.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. They'll bring the director and some of the actors sometimes, and they'll speak before the movie. Like Beetlejuice was probably one of my favorite movies that I ever saw there for one of the events, and everybody dressed up. It was awesome.
How old were you for that one?
Oh, I didn't move to LA until I was 21. So I was 23 because, I'd been there. That wasn't the first one I saw.
Yeah. Okay. Some of our guests have reported that there was sort of this dividing line for them where prior to the dividing line, horror actually did scare them. And then after the dividing line, it was more enjoyable. Was there the kind of dividing line like this for you, or was it always enjoyable?
I mean, it's always been enjoyable. I think the dividing line, in my life with it was definitely in film school, where I realized how they make the movie and the difference in budgets. Growing up, I don't think I really realized wow, this movie had absolutely no budget. I mean, even the trauma films I watched, Mother's Day is one of my favorite trauma films. And I just, in my mind, that was no different than watching a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but budget wise, oh my God, completely different.
Yeah.
And Puppet Master as well. That, once you start making movies in that kind of, it broke it for me a little bit, but I can kind of, daze out a little bit and take it all in and stop looking for boom poles and looking at that kind of stuff.
Right. I think that's one of the degrees of a really good film. Once you get in the know, so to speak, or about the magic behind the curtain. If you find yourself watching a movie and you totally forget about things like that, that's when it's a good and engrossing story. Oh,
absolutely. There's still times where there's a death scene about to happen and I look away, I'm and I'm oh shit, I should have watched. Fuck. I have to. Especially if I'm in theaters. I haven't seen the new Scream yet. I really want to see that. And I haven't had any spoilers, luckily, yet.
I've heard things. They're some of them good.
I've heard a mixed bag. So
yeah, it's a mixed bag. Go see it.
Yeah, I really am hoping to, and especially in theaters because I think I've seen every single Scream in theaters, and I can't say that about the series.
Right. Cool. Mm-hmm. Did you have any really scary dreams as a kid or reoccurring nightmares?
No.
Anything with Freddy?
No, I never really had nightmares. Yeah.
How about something scary happened in real life when you were a kid?
Nothing too crazy. I grew up in a pretty small town in southeastern Ohio.
Okay.
I mean, like having like pets die, like that, is traumatizing. Right. Like growing up, we had a rabbit, and I remember my mom picked me up at like a neighbor's house where I was playing and came home, like on the drive home, like had to tell me that like my neighbor's dog had gotten out and had eaten my rabbit. And so that was like, oh God. And then I had like several cats growing up.
Had your own little real life version of Watership Down, huh?
Yeah, but that's really it.
So you're going to make a joke of going for a real life version of Pet Sematary.
Oh, no.
Or that, maybe the rabbit can come back to life. Yeah. There's always options.
Was there ever a time in your childhood when you felt exceptionally calm or safe or happy?
I mean, yeah, reading and watching movies, like, because it's kind of an escape and you get to go on someone else's adventure. Mm-hmm. So I feel like just within enjoying other people's stories was always like a mental escape.
Yes. The next two questions we're going to ask as a pair. Start with the negative so we can end on the positive. Do you remember the first person you hurt?
The first person I hurt? Oh, my. Mm-hmm. Well, I have an older sister who's 5 years older than me. So I would say that at some point in my smaller youth, like...
Sibling rivalry.
Oh, yeah. It's always the siblings.
Yes. How about the first person you helped?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, thinking as like a little kid, like probably someone in my family. Okay. A cool story, I guess. I had a neighbor named Sonia Graham who lived across the street from me. And she was probably in her 60s and I was probably 10. And she became my friend because she basically stole my cat. She had a cat named Booty who was her daughter had passed away and left this cat Booty. And her cat Booty became friends with my cat Snowball. And my cat was like always gone. And I would see her like, coming through Sonia's yard. And she was feeding her half and half. And so basically like she ended up taking Snowball. And then I ended up, getting another cat. But she was someone that I would just go and visit with and hang out with. And that was kind of cool.
Interesting. It's like the cat version of when people become friends with other people because their kids are friends.
Yeah.
Yes. Except you don't steal their kids.
Yeah, no kidnapping involved.
But I mean, she actually had a condo in Clearwater Beach, Florida. And
really?
My family went and at her condo. And she would get me like Christmas presents. Like I remember one year she got me like a Hanson tape. And I was like, I don't listen to Hanson, like I listen to not that. But
it was about Floridians.
That's funny because I owned a house that was probably, 45-minute drive from Clearwater, and Chris is like maybe an hour and a half away.
Oh, yep. Right on.
And you grew up in Ohio where Steve is now. Small world.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yes.
And now a 10-second self-advertising spot. We absolutely believe that word of mouth means more than any kind of advertising campaign. If you like what we're doing, please just tell somebody about us. Back to the show.
So moving into teenagers, you had mentioned Trauma. Did you see some of their stuff in teenagers, or did that come later?
Yeah, I was definitely in my early teens when I started watching that because it was all on VHS. Mm-hmm. And that kind of like is a dividing line of my age of when I was watching stuff. And I was born in 1983. So yeah, I'm in my early 40s now. So I was right at the height, of the 80s in horror.
What did you say your favorite Trauma was?
Probably Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. What'd you like about that one?
It was just really weird. And it has like, the inbred country asshole kind of vibe to it.
Can't go wrong with that vibe. I mean, that's bread and butter right there.
I tend to like those kinds. So
yeah, like Texas Chainsaw type.
Mm-hmm. Wrong Turn.
Anything else stand up?
Wrong Turn. Yep. Oh, those movies got so much more Canadian with every single one.
Well, the remake was weird. That leave him in Called Wrong Turn.
The remake was weird. Yeah, I like Bill Sage. I like him in movies, and I like the way they went with it. I would have done a few things differently, but I do like the twist. The twist, really, but the alternate angle, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it was, but it just didn't feel like Wrong Turn, and because they have like 6 or 7 of them in the series, I would have thought that it stayed a little more in that
world. True to the series.
Yeah.
Well, it was a reboot, so you kind of flip everything.
Yeah.
What'd you like about the original?
I think I just liked the actors at the time. Okay. Like, it was Eliza Dushku. I'm not sure how to say her name. And then the guy, I'm blanking on his name right now, but I actually worked with him, and he was really cool.
Wait, wasn't he the hands guy from May?
He wasn't. He's in Ghost Ship. He's the bad guy in Ghost Ship.
That one.
Yeah. But when I remember talking, like when I first worked with him, I was like, "You look really familiar. Have I worked with you before?" And he was like, No, I don't think so. And I was like, Are you in a lot of horror movies? And then when he said what he was in, I was like, oh, yeah, exactly. And
Wrong Turn.
Yeah. And he was mentioning that, I'm in the same blue shirt for the whole movie. And I had to wear that same shirt. And I was like, oh, man. But yeah, Desmond Harrington, I think is his name. He's super cool. Really a pleasure.
Seems it.
Cool. Again, we'd like to go for 3. Can you think of any other that stood out to you from your teens?
Just any horror movie for my teens?
I mean, whatever comes to mind first.
I'm a really big fan of Return of the Living Dead 3.
3?
Was it?
Was that the one with the chick who would put like spikes and glass and shit in her product? Yeah, that was a good one.
Her name was Julie too in the movie.
What'd you like about that one?
That it was like a love story, but it was like really, really gory, and it just had like a lot of like slimy gore with it. And
great practicals too. I mean, you got the Riverman and the fucking Agua Puerta, the guy with his head on a stick.
It was just like cool. And Dr. Giggles and the ice cream. I was a really big fan of those. Like I guess that's like the slapstick part of it started coming up.
How about Halloween in your teens? Favorite costume, least favorite costume?
I feel like I went as a cat quite a few years, like because at that point I could just wear like, a black sweatshirt because it's cold in Ohio, like, in October. And so at that point it was like, I'm going to wear like a hoodie and just wear these cat ears and safety pins and my sweatpants.
The old standby.
Yes.
But we went trick-or-treating in my neighborhood until like our senior year in high school. Like it was, like I said, I grew up in a really small town, and the neighborhood I lived in, it was something that we did every year. And there was like a tractor thing that pulled a trailer.
Hayride.
Yeah, like through the neighborhood. And so it was like a little event.
Cool. Well, it's nice that you got to do that, because there are a lot of different people we've talked to where, there are a few who got to do it regularly, and then some people, it was hit or miss. So.
Yeah, it was fun.
How about a time when you're terrified of something in real life as a teen?
Oh, I've been terrified of a lot of things. I don't like real blood. And I don't like it if my food touches. Like, I'm really weird about a lot of stuff like that.
OCD or something?
Honestly, I think I might be on the spectrum a little bit. Like, I've been doing research.
Yeah, it's a spectrum thing. The whole food touching thing is definitely a neurodivergent thing.
And then, like, even watching movies, like, I'll watch a movie and love it and just watch it again and watch it again and watch it again.
Yep. We'll come back to that. Let's see. Ever a time in your teenage years when you were exceptionally calm or safe or happy?
I mean, because I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, I think I was always, like, just really careful about... You
didn't have symptoms, Larry?
Yeah, like trying to eat the right thing. That probably has, something to do with the food stuff too. But yeah, it was, and then I had so many medicines at the time. I remember like wanting to stay all night at a friend's house or something, and I didn't have my medicine, so I couldn't. And like, so that was not fun.
No. Yeah, I didn't think about the connection to that and the food. That's a good point. I'm sure that didn't help any.
No. I'm weird about stuff. I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but I'm still really weird with food.
Well, and also as they've learned more about the disease too, I'm sure that's helped, because when you confirm that, it's not this or it's not that, then, then you can go, okay, well, I don't have to be as worried about that.
Yeah, I've been really lucky. I've been in remission since I was 17.
Oh, wow.
So like no medicine, medical marijuana. But aside from that, like no actual medications. And I just control it with diet.
Okay. 10-second self-advertising spot. Chris live streams himself drawing his horror-themed webcomic on our Discord server every Sunday. Come hang out. There's an invite link on the front page of horrormakesUsHappy.com. Back to the show. Let's see. What was I going to say? I guess just roll into adult years then. So you mentioned Beetlejuice. Anything else stand out to you from your adult years?
I mean, I love Beetlejuice. That was obviously one of my favorite movies growing up as well. But I mean, anything Tim Burton, really. But I'm trying to think other stuff from. Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
Yes.
Prom night. I found those when I was over 16 because I could drive, and I remember, really, the shocking twist ending on Sleepaway Camp was incredible.
Fun fact: I only recently finally watched Sleepaway Camp because I'm a loser like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then Felicity,
I was really
she's phenomenal.
impressed by the special effects.
Yeah. Ed French did them.
I have to look him up.
Yeah, he's really cool. I actually bought a couple prosthetics off of him years ago, and I went and met him at his garage, and I was a really big fan of Sleepaway Camp. And I had actually brought my DVD with me because I, knew that he had worked on it, and I was really excited to meet him, and I asked him to sign it, and he did. And then he pulled out a cast of Paul's head, at the end where he's holding the head. He still had that. And it was one of his first movies, and he was telling me about it, and it was just awesome to get to meet him that way.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's not something that would have come up if you had not lived in the area.
Yeah.
What'd you like about prom night?
The mystery of it, it's the whodunit, and I just the whole prom, the high school drama aspect to it. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I was obsessed with Are You Afraid of the Dark? I still watch that too.
What'd you like about that one?
It was just awesome. It came out when I want to say 4th and 5th grade is when it started. The early 90s, and it was just really fun. They're all based off of fairy tales, each episode. And so there was usually something familiar and then some sort of a twist, and to be able to tell a story in 30 minutes or less, which is really 22 minutes. It was just cool.
Right.
And I remember there were
Afraid of the Dark, the one where the kid's mouth disappeared or something like that.
Mouth disappeared?
Yeah, someone cast a spell on him or something, and or maybe his whole face just went blank. I don't know.
I mean, it's reminding me of the Harlan Ellison. I think it's Harlan Ellison. I have no mouth, but I'm a scream or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an Are You Afraid of the Dark, because I'm pretty. Can you hear my cat yelling in the background? Yeah, that's
I
dog.
thought my cat was going to be a problem today.
Yeah, she's inside. She's a Bengal, so she has quite the personality.
Okay. I was going to say that that particular type of noise, normally when it comes from other cats, it's, in heat or something like that. So.
No, Bengals just always sound like that.
Looking at me out the window. She's fun.
I want to be out there with you, Mommy.
Yep.
Hey. What are you doing?
She's really talking really loud, though. So.
And that's why you're outside.
Yep. And in my bedroom, I have another cat I just rescued who's a Bengal named Bella. I've only had her for a week. And technically it's Bella
Bengals.
in row. Yeah.
Right?
You don't sleep, do you?
Well, Dahlia's older. She's 10 now. So she's still crazy. Don't get me wrong. But those first 2 years are, yes, it's a thing.
Yes. Yeah, I love the way Bengals look, but having read up on them, there's no way.
They're perma-toddlers.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the energy of a very energetic toddler, yeah.
Also
They're
very
crazy.
needy, very codependent. If you are out of the room for 10 seconds, ow!
Yeah. She probably just woke up and realized I was gone.
Yeah. So Halloween as adult, favorite costume, least favorite costume?
Well, we talked about my least favorite costume when I went as the Queen from Hell. That was not fun.
Was that as an adult? I thought that was a child.
No, that was, when I lived in LA. And I went to went to a party and was like, oh, this is awful. So one of my favorites, I actually made a dress, like a 1920s flapper dress. And I sewed it together, and then I created like the headpiece and went as a flapper. And I know that's not like horror-esque, but it was really fun because I had like made, all the pieces.
Yeah. I bet there was a flapper in Ghost Ship.
Yeah, there was. There was.
Yeah. How about real life? Anything in real life scare you as an adult?
Back to losing pets. Like that's.
Oh.
Yeah, like I had one cat who had like congenital heart failure, and he I woke up in the middle of the night and his back legs weren't working, and he was like shitting himself and like that horror. And he was only like a year and a half old, so he was still like a little baby Bengal. And so that was like, I was really down and depressed and traumatized over that.
Yeah.
And I live I don't have roommates or anything. So when it happened, and I live in Vegas and most all of my friends live in LA. And so when it happened, I just had nobody to really help me, I guess, at all. So it was extra traumatizing. I really love my cats and my pets. I'm a big pet person.
Not the only one. Let's see. Any time in your adult life when you were exceptionally calm or happy or safe?
Yeah. Oh, I actually just thought of something crazy that happened. I want to say I was 24 or 25 and I got robbed at gunpoint in an alley.
Ooh.
That's a scary real life experience. Yeah, that one counts.
Yeah, and they stole my phone and they stole this Chanel bag that I had purchased at a thrift store or a trade exchange kind of place. And it literally only had $2 in it. But it also had my driver's license and my car keys and my keys to get into my house. And so having to change all that out. And after that was really, that one sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's impossible, but wouldn't it be nice if criminals were just courteous in a way? Give me all your money. All right, here's all your personal stuff back.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it?
Exactly. Well, yeah. At least let me keep, my, I was going to say birth certificate, but that's hopefully not
carry yours in your wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
The car key thing really sucked because I had lost normally you have 2 car keys to a car, but I had already lost the other set. So this is the only one I had. So I had to have it towed to a Mitsubishi place and had to pay to have them
rekey it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not cheap.
No, that was the worst part about it.
I have 2 buttons left on my fob and I am dreading having to get a new one because I'm sure it's going to be $600.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's maybe 3. They're not. They are hundreds of dollars for a fucking remote.
Yep.
Yeah, but not 6.
Yeah, not 6. That is a bit hyperbole.
Yeah. Let's see. Remember the last person you hurt?
The last person I hurt? Mm-hmm. Probably my sister. I haven't spoken to her in 6 years. We don't talk. She's not a good person.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Well, silver lining there. If she is the last person you heard and you haven't spoken to her in 6 years, you haven't heard anybody in 6 years. So that's a good track record.
Yeah, I really try to not be a dick. I try and pick my battles and stay the hell out of the drama as much as I can. Because working in Hollywood can be pretty dramatic.
It can, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say on our Discord server right now, where I host a watch party every Friday, and sometimes we watch a show, sometimes we watch a movie. Currently, I've decided to do a rewatch of Brand New Cherry Flavor, and it has reminded me of how much drama there can be in Hollywood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck Bluebird.
These questions in particular, it's not so much about who you helped or hurt. It's how can I say this? It's interesting what comes up for different people. It's often family, but sometimes it's friends. Sometimes there is a significant memory that is of interest that pops up. But kind of like with the other questions that we ask, sometimes they land, sometimes they don't. You just don't know until you ask and see what comes up. So yeah, flipping that one around. Do you remember the last person you helped?
Well, I got a call the day before yesterday for a job here in Vegas to help out on a zombie show. It's a short film. And basically they hadn't heard from their makeup artist in a week, so I helped them out by doing their show last night.
Nice.
Cool. I mean, very fortunate that you were free.
And this cat that I rescued last week, I actually got her from a lady who was having kidney failure. Ooh. And so she had to rehome her cats. So, and this one isn't really very social or doesn't really want to see people. So I guess I'm helping this cat, Bella.
That's the one in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Especially if hopefully she'll get along with your other cat.
Yeah, my other cat's pretty social, and I just lost a cat in November. Dahmer. I used to have Dahmer and Dahlia, my Bengals.
God.
Yeah.
Those are awesome names.
Yeah. And so
was Dahlia a black cat?
No, she's the white Dahlia.
Oh, okay.
A little spin on it.
Unique.
And double D's.
Yeah. Oh, the double D jokes definitely came.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so for these next two questions, it's going to be over your entire life and about any genre, not just horror. What movie have you watched more times than any other?
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay. Have you seen it live?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Anything
one.
In particular you like about?
I've just been a fan forever. Like, I think that I saw that, like, the movie for the first time when I was in, like, 2nd or 3rd grade. I was really little. And, like, learning the time warp, I mean, and I was just a big Tim Curry fan even then. And so when he was Pennywise in It, like, I loved it. And then, I mean, him in Clue, he's in Legend, like, he's in the worst witch.
Best in Legend.
Yeah.
The best devil ever. Yes.
And I love unicorns. And so the whole thing with, Legend on that, too.
Yeah.
But definitely Rocky Horror Picture Show. And after that, probably It.
Okay. Now, as the follow-up there, would you consider one of those your favorite movie, or would you pick something else?
I did a book called My Favorite Horror Movie, and I chose to use Puppet Master in the book because it's definitely one of my favorites that I've watched a million times, and I love the puppets. But I also chose that one in hopes that it wasn't something so familiar to everyone.
Yeah, something a little different.
But probably It, I would say, would probably be the movie that is my all-time favorite movie. And reading the book, too, like when I was a senior in high school, I did a report where I compared the book to the movie.
Book is so long.
It is. It is. I think I've read it 2 or 3 times. Oof. I wasn't happy with the remakes at first.
Yeah.
Like, I've learned to love them.
Yeah.
But I love
yes, the show is so good.
It's awesome.
I can't wait for the next season.
Yeah.
Even though it's going to be like 5,000 years. What feels like it anyway.
Well, I'm curious what you didn't like about the new It's chapter 1 and 2, and then I guess you came around to some aspects of it.
Yeah, like, I mean, I saw them in theaters, and like I think it's like the kids. I mean, not to like knock on it, but like it just wasn't the same. And because I was such a diehard fan of the original, it was really hard to like accept like a new angle on it.
Okay. Well, yeah, that happens often with book to film adaptations. Just, you create that character in your mind. And if they're not the same, or in some cases drastically different than what you pictured them as in your mind, you're just like, not for me.
But I learned to love it, like I love it now. But when I saw it in the theaters, I was very like disappointed.
Yeah.
And all the CGI.
There was a lot of CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love music, but I'm really picky with cover songs and remakes and stuff like that. I have a really high bar because it's like, there's certain songs where you hear it and like I like it for what it was, and if you can't hit that same high bar, I'm gonna have a hard time enjoying it for the same degree.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you see any common threads about what kinds of horror you like? Cannibalism, occult, metaphysical, supernatural?
I feel like I like slasher a lot, and I like slapstick. I mean, kind of like Dr. Giggles, and like 2001 Maniacs is extremely slapstick. The Tim Sullivan movie. That's got a little bit of everything.
Yes. So this would normally be the spot where we talk about any common themes that have cropped up earlier in the call. It's kind of hard to pick something for you. I mean, like there's obviously like some emotional stuff about the pets and your relationships with people in your family, mom, sister, grandma, even the next door neighbor. In terms of the horror stuff, though, I guess what I would say is, there's kind of two camps in terms of, there's some people are fans who are like trauma based, and then there are some people who are joy based. And what I mean by that is Jaws making people not want to go out, into the ocean kind of thing. Like it triggers them in a certain way. Whereas it sounds like for you, there really is no trigger so much as it's all you're just, pure joy kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I definitely I don't like real blood. So I will freak out if I'm around real blood. And, constantly if I'm going to walk down an alley, I'm not going to walk down that alley. I'm very conscious. If I'm driving and there's a hillside, I'm like, oh God, I want to hug the curve a little better because I don't want to go down that hill. And so I feel like watching horror movies, I'm scared of everything in a lot of ways. So there is that, but it's being self-aware.
Yeah. Actually, that reminded me of the one thing that I did see as maybe a bit of a common thread, which is the escape. What you just described there about, being, squeamish around real blood, that is not uncommon. There are a number of people that we've talked to that have pointed out, or not really pointed out themselves, but, I think for the world at large, mainstream audiences don't really understand that there's a difference between horror and true crime in terms of genres. Yeah. And a lot of people, at least that we've talked to, the people we've talked to who are horror fans, do not feel that they're fans of true crime. And so they don't want that reality in there. It's like the Reese's peanut butter thing. I do not want your chocolate in my peanut butter. And so for you to be squeamish about that kind of stuff, and not want it. And then you have also commented on different things in this call being an escape. I'm trying to remember what they were off the top of my head. I think it was when you were talking about, in childhood, one of the places that you were happy or safe, you mentioned reading or, it was a mental escape getting into just horror in general. I don't remember if there was any particular movie that you mentioned it.
I feel like all of it's kind of like How to Survive, in a lot of ways, you're you either identify with the villain or you identify with the victim, or the heroine, the final girl, and watching them survive all of these unthinkable things and beat all the bad guys and beat all the monsters. It kind of gives you a drive to survive, and it helps you, if you see something and you experience it through someone else's eyes first, when the same thing or something similar happens to you, you just have a little bit more mental preparedness, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And I just don't make certain decisions because I saw it in a movie. I mean, Final Destination, the scene where they're driving and the water bottle, goes under the foot, all of that shit. There's no way that the water bottle is getting under my thing. It's just not going to happen.
Well, you mean you wouldn't drive at 50 to 75 miles an hour down a road with a piping hot cup of coffee just sitting in the cup holder, with 2 millimeters of space at the top? No?
I mean that kind of stuff, I feel like it's awareness. But if I wasn't watching these movies, I would be oblivious, I think, to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. They're instructional.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. Cool. Well, do you think that those are accurate summaries for what you get out of horror? Or do you think that there's slightly off the mark, something else needs to be added, or are we completely off the mark kind of thing?
No, I mean, I think that's it. But also too, it's an adrenaline rush. The feeling of being scared, even, momentarily, that rush, it's fun. And then also too, experience in the comfort of your own home or the comfort of a movie theater, you're watching somebody who's getting chased by a maniac and they're freezing and soaking wet, and you're not soaking wet, you're not freezing, and you're still experiencing it. And it's at the end of the movie, you probably learned something, because that's a lot of horror movies. They have some sort of a lesson.
Yeah.
Usually there's a moral or something.
Yeah. I think I would have included the adrenaline rush under the, what did I say before about the, joy based,
yeah,
I think maybe that's kind of included in that. Mm-hmm. So in terms of the escape part, sometimes we like to ask the guests that we have on, once we figure out what, maybe what a common theme is, then the next question is why horror? Because couldn't you explore that in other genres, for example? And particularly escape, that is something that you could explore in a fantasy genre or something like that. So is there something particular about horror that you think works better for you?
I mean, okay, so where I grew up, like, my mom let me watch horror, and, there were other kids that were allowed, but it was very taboo. Like, it was, most parents did not want their kids watching this stuff, because it obviously dealing with death, and there's a lot of, like, political undertones and, things like that are happening in it, and a sex scene, all this stuff. But, like, there's just something being a kid and watching this, like, it made me feel freedom in a way that, like, I was allowed to experience this when other kids my age weren't necessarily allowed. And, like, when I was in 4th grade, I was in the Talented and Gifted program, and my teacher, Mrs. Bartimus, let me bring in Dolores Claiborne. I was reading it. And one of the other parents, not in the tag class, but in my regular class, had complained that I should not have that book at school. I shouldn't be reading that. And my mom had to come in and, like, talk to them. And I was only allowed to have the book in the tag class. I wasn't allowed to bring it to, like, the other class anymore. But it was just kind of this, like, like almost like punk rock, like kind of thing to it. Like, and even being young too, like, we didn't have the internet at that time. And so like there would be a scary movie, and, like, I'd be telling all the other kids everything that happened in the movie at school, like, well, I saw the movie, like, it was it was like a gold star.
Yes.
Like, I grew up, like, hanging out in skate parks and watching horror movies.
I'm surprised they had a skate park in the middle of, some small town in.
Yeah, we had to fundraise for it, actually. And yep. But I guess
good thing.
Where I'm going with this too is that, like, the area that I grew up in is extremely, extremely, like, hardcore Christian. Like, if you watch a horror movie, you are going to hell, and they think that demons are coming out of the TV. And so there's people that I grew up with that literally think that I moved to Hollywood and I'm, demonic, and I make demons come out of the TV. It's like, wow, full circle.
Right.
So I think too, because it was just a little bit, like, taboo, like, it made it extra fun.
Could be. I love that the bird behind you is just, like, going nuts for the last 5 minutes.
Birds are here.
The bird is enthusiastic about the horror.
Yes.
It likes demons.
Yes. Well, I think we have a pretty good summary for what you get out of horror. Do you think there's anything maybe that came up earlier in the call that, like, you didn't get a chance to say? Like, you thought of something and then the conversation took a left turn?
I mean, I just love the genre. I think that there's just so much to it. And I mean, even, like, the original Night of the Living Dead, like, the fact that they had a man who happened to be black who was the hero. Like, that was just something that wasn't necessarily done in cinema at that time. And, the political undertones that so many of the movies, like, take on. Like, if you're watching, in the last few years, there's been things like The Hunt, that have all of these, like, political undertones. And that one, mocks both sides. But
yeah, it does.
It
does a good job of mocking both sides.
I feel like, a romantic comedy and, some of the other genres, they don't tackle those kinds of things.
True.
And even the super campy stuff, like, there's something serious underneath it, like, somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, perfect example. You have it's kind of a mix of both genres, but the new Scary movie coming out, there were some parts of the trailer that pushed the envelopes, shall we say. But if it were a pure comedy, like, messages and political commentary and things like that aren't really taken as serious as they are in a horror movie. So they're not as effective, I guess. Yeah.
Horror can come at it from, like, any angle. They can come at it from, like, the child's point of view, from the bad guy's point of view, from, this point of view. And then they can just kill that person off. And then you get a brand new point of view. Like, you can, like, Feast does that.
Feast. This little kid is definitely going to live for the entire movie and live a wonderful, happy life. Blech, dead.
And so it's just fun. I mean, I feel like cartoons, animation, they can kind of like push those boundaries too.
Yeah.
But other stuff just doesn't seem, I don't know, it's not to like talk shit on it all, but it's just not the same in my opinion.
Well, I could definitely see how, pushing the boundaries also, ties in with some of your earlier stuff that you mentioned, the Christian, hometown, the skate park,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, before we hit the closing, you want to let people know what you're currently working on, if it's something you can even talk about?
I just wrapped a movie recently called Mascot Land that stars Billy Zane from Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight.
Okay.
He's also in a little movie called Titanic, but he's Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight.
Right.
And that's going to be really cool. It was really fun to shoot. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of other actors. They did a Deadline article, but I'm not sure exactly what I can, say too much of. But it's going to be really cool.
Okay.
And it's not horror movie, but it's like a dark indie weirdness vibes.
It's called Mascot Land?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get together with you offline to get pictures and bio and put together a bio page on our website for you. And
okay, sure.
We can link to whatever it is that you want us to link to. So for any fans out there who want to know more about Julie and what she's doing, just go to horrormakesushappy.com, go to the episodes page, look for her name in the list, click on that, and that'll take you to the bio page. And so again, thank you for your time. Thank you to everybody out there listening. If you like what we're doing, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend.
Awesome.